last video, I asked my chat to give me their favorite Overwatch Stadium builds, but only using emojis. And oh my god, did you guys cook. In this video, we are going to be bringing your builds to life. Starting from easiest to hardest, we will be innovating Overwatch Stadium like you have never seen before. So buckle up, Buttercup, grab a snack, subscribe, and let's bounce on it crazy style. Welcome to the first episode of Emoji Watch Stadium. God, that name sucks. We'll work on it later, I promise.
Round 1.
And shout out Automate for our first Overwatch Stadium build. He says, one of my faves. With a female astronaut, gust of wind. Arrows, ring, arrow, female astronaut. Now this can only mean one thing. Speed Juno. Okay, so the foundation of a Juno speed build is going to be Blink Boost. This gives your glide boost 3 total charges, a crazy cooldown reduction, but it's also at a 75% reduced duration. This makes your glide boost feel like a glide dash, which has crazy upsides as you scale your build. So your goal with Blink Boost in this build is to synergize your movement with your tanks at all times. Because you have so many quick dashes on cooldown, you'll be able to get in and out of areas, taking space and positioning yourself in ways that you wouldn't have been able to before, providing damage and healing in the grittiest of team fights. Now, when running a movement speed build, sometimes the best way to make yourself as fast as possible is to slow down the enemy, which leads us to our round 2 power, Black Hole. Just like your mom, Hyper Ring will slow the move speed of enemies who pass through it by 35% for 2 seconds. Now remember how we were synergizing Blink Boost with the tank's movement? Well, now we will use Black Hole to let our tanks capitalize on poor positioning from our opponents. A good tank will capitalize on any movement speed bonus that they are allowed. And you'll notice in these clips that every time I put out a Hyper Ring, someone dies. And here's another pro tip for you. See those 3 nutsacks that come out before the Hyper Ring spawns? That projectile is a part of the Hyper Ring itself. Any allies or opponents that get hit by the space scrotum between you casting the Hyper Ring and the Hyper Ring itself will receive the movement modifiers of the ability before it lingers on the map. Now, in round 3, you get to choose between 2 powers that are both excellent in the right circumstances. You will choose between Medi Master or Stinger. If you choose Stinger, you are choosing ability power, as your Medi Blaster will deal an additional 10 ability damage to an opponent over 1 second. That 10 damage does not do a lot, but what it does is it lets you activate and trigger ability power effects on your primary fire. Now the must-pick perks that you'll choose when using Stinger is going to be Cyber Venom, which has a 30% healing reduction, as well as Liquid Nitrogen, which will slow the enemy by an additional 20%. Stinger is the perfect power if you're facing a shield with no CC or shields, or if your tank is absolutely him. If you find your tank has over $10,000 in stadium cash versus your opposing tank, this build will sacrifice your healing power for instant and constant movement and healing debuffs on their opposing tank. The second power you can choose is Medi Master, which will now let your primary fire critically hit both allies and enemies. The only must-pick power you have to buy with this build is El Saka Suppressor, which applies a 30% healing reduction on any critical hits with your primary weapon. Medi Master is a bit easier to build out because you will focus purely on weapon power and will provide you more consistent output, both healing and damage, in each stadium round. Picking Medi Master over Stinger is definitely a must if you feel like you're finding yourself taking more 1v1s, and ultimately has a little bit more play potential if you don't want to be too reliant on your tank.
Round 2.
Our next Overwatch build comes from Zero Vine, who gives us 2 eyeballs and a skull emoji. Now this one made me think for a second. Eyes, death eyes, Deadeye. Now I've already done an AP Cassidy video, so I wanted to expand further on the idea of a Deadeye focused build. And the first question that came to my mind was, how can I get Deadeye as fast as possible? And the answer that I came to was simple. We flash our enemies, and then after we take off all of our clothes, and before we get arrested for public indecency, we stare them down to make space. This is probably why I'm not allowed in public parks. You're going to start round 1 off with Flash in the Pan, which is going to grant you 20% ult charge when you kill an enemy that was recently hindered. Frankly, your playstyle doesn't change much compared to regular Cass. Just like the Juno speed build, I do like to synergize a lot with tanks to get confirmed kills because that's free ult charge that will let us cycle our ult way faster. Just try to keep in mind that you want your hinders to get kills and not just be a punish. This is a great build for any of my right-click Randies. Our round 2 power is going to be Easy Rider, which is going to give us 100 over health during Deadeye and 25% speed. From here, the playstyle changes because you are going to pick every single perk that gives you cooldown reduction. Streamline Poncho, 10% cooldown, combat roll reduces flashbang by 2 seconds. Improvised Dynamite, 20% ability power, 10% cooldown reduction, flashbang explosion size is increased by 50%. And lastly, Black Watch Tech. Deadeye eliminations reduce flashbang max cooldown by 10% up to 40% for 1 round. We'll get to your third power in a second, but before you pick your third power, the next 3 purples you'll want to buy is Iridescent Iris, Martian Mender, and lastly, Cyber Venom. Once you are in the mid to late game and all 6 of these perks have been applied to your kit, your combat roll will be at a 3.5 second cooldown. The next power you're going to want to pick up is Just Roll With It, which gains you an additional 25% damage reduction when you're rolling, and it heals 30% of your life over 3 seconds. Which means that if you were to use combat roll on cooldown for the entire game, there would only be half a second in between each cooldown in which you are not gaining your life back. Additionally, this cooldown reduction puts flashbang at a 7-second cooldown, and with 1 combat roll reducing it by 2 seconds, it goes down to 5. Additionally, if you got 4 Deadeye eliminations from Black Watch Tech with the max cooldown, your flashbang goes down to 2 seconds.
Final round.
Now our third stadium build comes from FIFO, and he gives us a gold circle and a purple circle. That's it, which can only mean one thing. Right charge, baby! I'm just kidding. I interpreted this one as Zenyatta's Harmony in Discord Orb, which led me to a new build that I have never done before, the Zenyatta Raid Boss build. Are you a Zenyatta player? Are you tired of getting more damage than your DPS? Well, don't worry, that anger is going to still be there, but now you don't have to heal them ever again. Raid Boss Zen is a build that has perfected the art of the 1v1, combining both your Harmony and your Discord Orbs, working together in tandem to let you face off against any character in Overwatch Stadium. Raid Boss Zenyatta has 3 core powers that you need to pick every single time. The first one's going to be Enlightenment. Allies affected by a Harmony Orb are healed for 35% of the damage you deal. Enlightenment is one of the best early game powers for maxing out your stadium cash. Think about it as your damage gaining an additional 35% cash, just for sticking a Harmony Orb on your tank's butt cheeks. Power number 2 is Inner Peace, where you gain a Harmony Orb, but it heals for 75% less. We don't really care about the Inner Peace healing, but combine that with Enlightenment and you have 35% weapon lifesteal. By round 2, we are going to have amazing sustain, but the art of a 1v1 is being able to choose when and where you want to fight. We are going to choose every perk that gives us movement speed. Sidia's Solution, 10% movement speed. Hiking Hover Boots, 10% movement speed. Aftermarket Firing Pin, 5% movement speed. Iron Eyes, 5% movement speed. And if you really want to be spicy, Heartbeat Sensor with another 5% movement speed. And now you have the perks to chase your opponents down like a cheetah, and the powers to survive it like a goddamn rhino. In round 3, the last power we're going to pick up to fully round out the build is Instant Karma. When a target of your Discord Orb damages you, restore 30% of that damage over 2 seconds. With Instant Karma, you want to single out your targets, bait them into a corner, and beat them to death while nobody's watching. And that, ladies and gentlemen, are all the emoji builds I have for you today. If you commented a build and you did not see it in the video, do not fret, you will be in episode 2. I really wanted to get every single build in this video, but I feared if I made the video too long, each build wouldn't get the love it deserves. Either way, if you have any more emoji builds you would like me to try out, leave them in the comments below. And with that being said, love yourself, do something nice for someone else, stay hydrated, and until we bounce on it again, I will see you on the next one. Toodles!